I'm Emma. This month has just been so busy. I think I played about 6 gigs, and I had my last gig for the month. Oh gosh, it was on Sunday. And it was the first time I played in a bar. That was fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where was that at?
Shorty's, I think.
Oh, Shorty's place. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was a really cool environment, really personal, small. But yeah, I've been so busy this month. I feel like I've been writing a lot. That's
Great.
a lot of fun. Yeah, I feel like I kind of went through a month or two where I just wasn't writing a lot, and then just kind of hit me, and boy, do I have a lot of unfinished songs.
Oh, for sure. That I think we all have more unfinished songs than we do finished songs. So yeah. So for the listener who doesn't know who you are, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Just right off the bat, you're probably our youngest guest so far, and probably one of our youngest performers, which listening to your songs, no one will ever know the difference. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm 15. That's definitely probably one of the youngest. I'm 15. I'm a singer-songwriter and just kind of sharing what I create. It's a lot of fun. I feel like I'm kind of in the genre of country pop right now. I've definitely explored a bit. Just a girl writing songs with a guitar.
Perfect. What got you into writing songs? A lot of when did you write your first song?
So I was 9 when I wrote my first song. Before that, I kind of made up stuff, just never a full song with a structure. And so whenever I was 9, my family and I had evacuated for Hurricane Harvey, and we went to my grandma's house. And when we were on our way back home, I wrote this song. I don't even remember what it's called. Oh my gosh. I don't even remember what it's called, but yeah, it was definitely, I feel like, kind of unexpected. It was kind of a random place to write a song in the back of my dad's truck. But
yeah, I remember writing one of my first songs, probably around the same age, honestly, in the back of my parents' car, heading back home from being on vacation. And we'd always go to New Mexico over the summer, and I just remember humming a song constantly over and over again, to the point where my dad was like, "Shut up."
My parents, I'm sure, get so tired of me just singing all the time. When I was younger, my parents literally used to say my life was a musical because I sang everything. My math homework, I would literally sing it out loud. And so I'm sure that got annoying.
I don't know. I think I was singing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And yeah. Anyway, so Jules, do you have any questions?
Yeah, are you from a musical family? Where did this sort of tendency, or did you inherit this? Is it where did it come from?
Yeah, so my mom did musical theater when she was younger, but none of my family really played any instruments or was into songwriting. I think that music kind of came into my life from my family was always listening to music, and we all love it. And that's something that from a young age, my parents introduced me to a lot of music. And also, I think everybody has a desire to create, and my outlet just happened to be music. So yeah.
And did you ever write poetry or write stories or anything, or draw?
Yeah. So I feel like I actually wrote a little bit of poetry last year. I was kind of in a poetry phase, but I was never super into it. I have worked on several short stories, and I actually tried writing a book. I got 42 chapters in. It was I hate this.
Oh.
So I love to read and write, and yeah, I love words.
Who are some of your favorite authors?
Oh gosh, I feel like I'm more of a series person. I have favorite series.
Okay, favorite series.
Okay, I love dystopian, The Inheritance Games, Hunger Games, Divergent. I also love the Percy Jackson series. Rick Riordan is such a great author, actually. I do love him because I've read a lot of his other stuff too. Keeper of the Lost Cities, Harry Potter. I was kind of in a historical fiction phase for a little bit, so I really love those two.
No, that's great. When did you first come, and how did you first come to know CC Songwriters? When did you come to perform for the first time?
Trying to figure out how I we heard about you. I feel like my mom had looked up writers rounds, on Corpus, and y'all's name came up, and so I went and I like vividly remember. It's actually so funny. I was there and I was like with my guitar and I like came up to you to sign up and you were like, so do you play an instrument? And I was like, and you were like, you probably tell I was young. And you're like, do you write your own songs? Yes. So I would like to know, like, what was your first impression of me when
put me on the spot.
Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask the question.
Definitely. First impression, I guess, when you're talking about that moment there, probably what was running through my head is, we've had people come up and say, hey, can I get up and play a song? And they don't always realize that it is a songwriter's night or in the rounds. And so I try to truncate that process by like, hey, are you a songwriter? Okay, if you can play an instrument, perfect. Now you can get on stage. But yeah, after you played your couple songs, I believe everyone at the table was just blown away. And within that, I think it was within a year, you became the songwriter of the year. So
it's crazy. I did not expect that at all. It was so insane. I'm so grateful for all that y'all have done to like really help songwriters, especially me, like as a young songwriter. Y'all have just been so welcoming. I'm so thankful for that.
Oh, I appreciate that. We appreciate that. So in following your journey, you've gone from playing open mics and songwriters and the rounds here. Now you're traveling, it seems, regionally to Nashville and beyond and co-writing with some great people. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Crazy. So I feel like one thing led to another. I remember my first gig. So let me backtrack a little bit. Whenever I was 13, my mom, like my birthday present was like a trip to Nashville for a songwriter camp. And so I went and I met some amazing girls my age. We really hit it off. And I actually continued taking lessons like piano, songwriting, and voice lessons with mentors through that same like organization that I did the camp with. And I still take lessons with them today. Shout out to Roots Academy. We love them. And I mean, I went back in December for their showcase and I came back home and on the plane, I told my mom, I was like, I'm going to start playing gigs. And she was like, okay, like, I guess we can do that. And she booked my first gig. It was 4 hours long. I was 13.
Your first gig was 4 hours long.
And I was like, it took my voice weeks to recover because I had never sang that long before.
Did you know that many songs?
I did repeat quite a bit, but I didn't know. Okay. I knew at least like 2.5 hours.
Wow.
So I was really proud of myself for that because it was a farmer's market. I actually play there, that same market every year now to mark like a year. I did that this month and it was great.
You said that this was your first bar that you had played. I'm like, man, Emma's been playing bars. She plays bars in Nashville. I saw you play like the Tin Roof and stuff like that. I mean,
yeah, I don't really consider. I guess those are considered. Yeah, now that I think about that, that's true.
They're venues, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's right. Jimmy did the Italian thing when he said venues. The venues. It's all with his hand there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thing led to another, like with that first gig, like other markets would hear about me. And I played markets for like at least a year, like strictly markets. But then now I get to do some opening gigs, pre-opening gigs.
Yeah, Bree Bagwell, correct?
Yeah, Bree Bagwell. That was
totally
great.
Cool.
I opened up for Jared Birmingham, Lee Greenwood. They're all great.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I get to do those types of things. Like, it's seriously, like, it's crazy to think I went from playing a 4-hour gig at a market to, like, I'm having all these crazy opportunities because seriously, like, one thing leads to another and it's like a domino effect. It's really fun to watch. Like, I kind of, like, never know what's going to happen next. Right. Yeah, the Nashville situation, I mean, it all kind of started with that summer camp. And now I started to go up every year for like the showcase. But then we got plugged in with NSAI. They're a great organization for any songwriter. Yeah. Highly recommend getting plugged in with them because I went to their seminar and I went to a Liz Rose workshop. And oh my gosh, she was like so amazing. I freaked out when I met her because I'm a big Taylor Swift fan and she wrote so many Taylor Swift songs, but she was so sweet and so amazing. And the whole group that we were with, like, that's kind of where the co-writes started coming in. And now I went back in September and got to schedule a bunch of co-writes with people I've met via NSAI. And it was so great, like, just to have those connections. And I mean, Music City is magical. I I fell in love with that first summer I went there, and I'm so grateful that I have a supportive family that's willing to fly all the way up there and, spend a week there just so I can do what I love.
Your parents and your extended family, they're just amazing people.
They seriously are.
And Jules is, he spent a good chunk of his life in Nashville. I started, my first time visiting Nashville was 2015, and I despised it that very first time.
Oh, yeah?
And it took me until maybe my third time to really start appreciating Nashville for what it was. And a lot of it was playing showcases that weren't on Music Row, but outside and things like that. But yeah, no, I'm glad that you're having this whole journey as young as you are, and it's preparing you for the future in amazing ways. But yeah, Jules, any advice for someone?
Yeah, man. I'm just sitting here kind of thinking on and ruminating on this whole conversation because, I will say that for like, I'm not like the arbiter of taste by any means, man, but I will say that Emma has quickly, like, you kind of know from the get-go when you watch her perform that she's a serious writer, and she traffics. I feel like you traffic in this sort of like, in this country writing, which is the subject of which is like this interpersonal drama, the relationship drama, breakups, new loves, some betrayal, but like not from like you do it from a very like sort of modernist perspective, and I mean that like. We were just talking with like Walt Wilkins recently about the sort of modern song format of like verse chorus, bridge chorus. And I mean, I spent a lot of time in Nashville, and I grew to sort of embrace and feel somewhat locked into writing into that format in a lot of ways. But when I listen to your stuff, that format seems like that format formats itself, meaning that like the stuff that you write naturally has a sort of like a compelling, you can hear a compelling introduction to it melodically that leads into your verse, which sets up your hook, and your hook is sufficiently different from your verse to where it like is impactful. And when you go back to the second verse, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's really good stuff that you do. So all that to say, you're clearly a Taylor Swift fan, right?
What, really?
Right. And
yes.
Newsflash, right? Newsflash. But I think like Taylor's kind of low hanging fruit, like, and I say that in the most praiseful, respectful way of Taylor and all that she does. Like I'm one of those Taylor fans who like didn't really know how to fully grok Taylor as an artist until I saw her. There was a video that she did at the Grammys where she was solo acoustic, and it's just watching her mechanics from like start to finish just shows like how much of a different level she plays on and performs on and synchronizes on,
I just like her songwriting has really inspired me. And like, I do talk about her a lot, but like, there's also a lot of other like songwriters that write similar to her that like, it just blows my mind. It's great. Yeah.
Do you have,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm gonna go chase my cat real quick.
Say, oh, cool, right on. The cat making an appearance.
She's
now.
knocking over the Christmas tree. I'll be right back.
Okay. There's a Nashville writer, and I don't know if you're familiar with him. His name is Will Hoge. Will Hoge. Will Hoge is like, to me, he is like a writer's writer. So he tells a story on stage about how he got an offer to go write a song with like a 15-year-old girl years ago, and he turned it down. And then
my gosh.
Yeah, right. And it seemed, the rest of the story goes, right? It was obviously Taylor. But like Will, when he goes and performs solo, something about the way that you carry yourself and the way that Will carries himself, like, strike me is very similar. And Will does this thing where he sets up 3 different stations where he has like maybe his acoustic guitar station off to the left, he has his piano station in the center, and then he has his electric guitar off to the right. And he has his set list arranged by like which song lives on which instrument. Yeah, and just goes cycles between them, but he's about his business as he does it,
That's how I have to like organize my set list, because I do play both piano and guitar. I have to like, I don't want it to be like the first part's piano, the second guitar. Like I have to like spread it out, but not be switching every song. So it's like a puzzle sometimes to create a set list.
Yeah, I mean, Will's one of my like top, like he's in my Spotify. What's it called? The rap stuff every year, you know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I just feel like because I know that you come at this interestingly. I mean, you come at this from different angles, right? You come at this from a piano angle on some songs. You come at this from a guitar angle on some songs. So I wonder, like, maybe that's a good way to enter this, right? Because is it purely intuition that makes you feel like a song needs to live on piano versus live on guitar, or how do you go about determining that?
Okay, so sometimes, okay, it is really just whatever mood I'm in, I will choose an instrument. But also, like, if I know I'm going to write a sad song, I feel like I mainly lead on piano. If I want it to be more like acoustic sounding, I'll go to guitar. I write a lot of angry songs on guitar. But I mean, there have been a lot of situations where I will write something on either piano or guitar and then switch it because, like, I don't like the vibe and I switch it. So, I mean, I guess it depends, either the mood or like if I know what the meaning of the song is going to be, if I feel like there's a certain instrument that fits it. I mean, I even have some songs that I haven't put any music to yet because I want to write it like in a studio. Like, I want to have the whole production as I'm writing it. That's that I've
Interesting.
I didn't really think about until I started recording music was like the production. And now, like, I hear the production in my head as I'm writing it. And sometimes I'm like, I can't write this on guitar or piano. Like, it needs to sound produced. Like,
right.
You know, some of that like electric sounding stuff.
That's an interesting concept. By the way, I'm back, listeners. I saved Christmas. But yeah, no, we were talking to Walt Wilkins about this song using the studio as a tool, but actually using the studio as a songwriting tool is, you know, even more unique.
Yeah,
so
I never really thought about it like that, but I mean, sometimes I really go into my pop genre in my style. And I'm like, I need to write this like with the electric sounds, you know, like all that technology. It's so fancy. I don't even know where to start with it. That's why I'm glad I have a producer.
Of course. Do you have any recording equipment at home? Do you have anything that you can demo with yourself?
I do. I don't do it that much, mainly because one, I barely know how to work GarageBand. I used to be better at it, but also because the studio that I work with, we can easily go over there and do a demo. So it's pretty accessible.
The reason I asked is because, you know, I was coming up 14, 15, 16 years old, and I had my old Roland VS1680 recording console at home. And that was when I was using a studio, if you will, as a songwriting tool.
I would just... I want to learn how to do that kind of stuff. That's something I'm really interested in learning.
Yeah, I would layer and then I'd have the music done without even writing the lyrics. And I'd use the music to inform what I'm trying to say with the lyrics.
Something that I've always wanted to do is write to a track. I want to do that so bad, like build a track and then write to it. Because one of the reasons I love instrumentals or instrumentals is because it gives you an emotion without telling a story, you know, like with words. It tells a story, but it's not like verbal.
Right.
Oh, you have room to interpret. And that's something that I was always like, well, if I had my own instrumental track, I could write to it and like tell the story that it, you know, tell these emotions that it creates in me through the music, through words. I always thought that was so cool. And I really want to try that.
So I think you two are both on this other side of all of this, man. Whereas like, you know, Emma, you're like, yeah, I want to learn how to do all this stuff. And Jimmy's like, yeah, you know, I use the technology to inform me of all this stuff. It's like, man, I've already gone through this phase where like I had, you know, a rack of like really nice pre's and converters and stuff in my bedroom. And at some point I was like, what am I doing with this shit, dude? Because like, I'm never going to make a record in my bedroom. And it's like at a certain point, if your taste is up to standards to where you're spending thousands of dollars on preamps, and your taste should be higher than what's coming out of your bedroom, hopefully. And I don't know, maybe you got a great bedroom. Maybe you got some acoustic panels and shit going on, you know? I mean,
some of my favorite indie records have been recorded in bedrooms.
Right.
So.
And there's, you know what? These are the arguments one presents to oneself during the course of spending all this money on preamps to put in your bedroom. You're like, that Damien Rice album that has bird chirping noises in it, that was done in his house, or these are the things that echo in your head that justify these things. But it's just funny how we can live on totally opposite ends of that. Whereas, I love going to the studio, like when it's because I feel like finally my tastes have a fighting chance of being matched by the product of
It's so fun to seriously, like, you have this idea of what you want the song to sound like in your head, and watching it and building it like in the studio is so fun. I remember the first song I recorded and made like, I am only ever going to listen to my own song because I love it so much. I literally can't even stand to listen to that recording. I sound like I'm 9.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, to be fair, you're pretty close.
I was 13, so
but no, I don't think any songwriter, any performer likes their first recording.
My songs, I cannot stand to go back and like look at my old songs. I thought that was the best that I was ever gonna write, and it's literally terrible.
I mean, that's
my mom always said
progress.
Look back at your old stuff and cringe because it means early.
Exactly.
Except when you're a songwriter, it's like nobody. Oh my God! Is when you cringe at your old stuff, it's really like it feels bad, yo. Like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's why I honestly didn't release any music to like into the digital ether under my name until I was about 30, because I think I was terrified of having stuff to look back at that would be cringe,
I'm actually like, I was talking to my friends about this the other day, and they were like, you're gonna like, we were talking, they're like, are you still gonna like, once you have your album out, are you still gonna like have those singles out there? And I was like, I mean, yeah, but I'm probably like never gonna listen to them or push them out of there again, because by that time I'm probably gonna hate them. Like, that's kind of scary to think that like your songs are out there in the world now. Like, there's nothing going back.
No, all of my early stuff was recorded on that Roland BS680 that I was talking about, and I released them as CDs to fans, or not fans, to audience members at open mic night, Executive Surf Club, or any gig that I did around that time at like 16, 17 years old. And somewhere out there, somebody has those CDs.
Crazy to think about.
And that scares me to death. But at the same time, I do have one album from around that time that I thought turned out okay enough that I was considering doing like a 20th anniversary release of it just for fun, remaster and put it out there. Right. But I think it's beneficial to go back and visit your old stuff, not just to cringe at it, but to see where you are in that point, and that can inform to where you are now.
Nah, just release more. Just plow forward, man.
So I'm currently planning the album, right? So I had like the whole track list planned out. It's 10 songs long, and I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I cannot change this. I made so many edits to it. Like, there are so many songs I want to add. I guess like I'm so inspired right now for songwriting currently in this season of my life that I'm like, I keep wanting to add more. I have a feeling like this is going to be pretty long album, but I'm also trying to cut stuff because I don't have that money.
First album is going to be a double album.
Yeah. There are so many songs I want to add, but I just physically do not have enough money or time to record them all. So we'll see how many songs actually get put on there. Definitely super inspired right now. So I keep writing new songs and keep moving to put them on there.
Yeah, just wait till you spend even more time in the studio with this album. We just talked with Walt about this, how, in the studio, that magic in the studio is even more inspiring, and you'll end up writing your hit song in that studio.
There should be a club for songwriters who release albums labeled Volume 1 and never come out with a Volume 2 or anything further to that,
that's actually.
I was talking to Tyler McCumber. The Saracen Sessions is labeled Volume 1 or something. And I mean, I have a thing like that too. So, but it's just thinking about how Volume 2 never happened is it's pretty funny, man. Let's I was thinking about because you I feel like you live in this writing headspace of like there's maybe a relationship always going on in your head that's like dysfunctional or something. Like someone's fucking mad and throwing dishes, right?
Okay, it's actually so funny. So I wrote a lot of breakup songs and like angry songs before, and I was like, it was before I even was in a relationship. But then I went through my first breakup, and this is the inspiration, guys. Like I didn't realize that more inspiration could come from like actually going through it. No, it's crazy because there is so many aspects of it that I'm like, I'm so mad, but I'm so sad, and it's a mess. It's a mess. It's crazy how things like, I mean, even just being in a writing headspace all the time, like you said, like everything seems to come along. It's like, oh, there could be a song about it. It's like anytime there's like a mean girl or, you know, going through this breakup or literally conversations I just have or, you know, happen to hear. I'm like, always, there could be this song about this. But as a songwriter, I tend to make things a bit more dramatic because where's the fun in life? You don't know, a little spice.
Right. You said you just went through your, I guess, first relationship. When you're in the midst of that, were you able to write a song when you were happy?
Oh, yes. Actually, the title track of the album is one of my favorites. Yeah, it was super special.
Oh, that's great.
A lot of
I wish I could. When every time I'm actually happy, I go months without writing songs. Like it just never comes to fruition.
It like absolves you of this need to.
I started writing songs as like this way to cope. I've struggled with mental health for a long time, and for like years it was super bad, and I started writing songs to cope with things. But slowly, like the more and more I write, it has just become something like this craft, this art that I'm just always thinking like there could be a song about this. Like I'm always listening and being like, where are the lyrics? I feel like it's really turned into something really beautiful because like it's still such a good outlet for me. And somebody who does struggle with mental health, it's super healthy to be able to just write a song instead of, you know, shutting down. But it's definitely become like this craft that I'm just trying to hone, you know?
And when you're working on your craft, working on these songs, do you focus, I guess, on the craft of it? Or do you rely more on intuition? Or is it a kind of a balancing act of both?
Yeah, I think it's a balance because I will write a song when I feel like I need to, but I will also kind of like force myself to write. I will take a book or a movie or like this story that I've heard, and I will like make myself write a song from it. Because I think that if you want to be a songwriter or a singer professionally, like a singer-songwriter professionally, you have to discipline yourself to make yourself write, because it's not always going to come natural. That's something that I've learned, like even in my ruts for songwriting, like I have to make myself write even if it sounds like trash, and I do not always do a good job of that. Like I have gone months without writing. It's something I'm working on, is kind of disciplining myself into, you know, like writing like it's my job and like it's my art, but also not going to lose the fun or, you know, the passion in it, because there's something really beautiful about being able to put these emotions that other people feel but maybe can't express, and you have that power to like, I know how to express this in melody and lyric and rhyme. Like there's something so special and unique about that, and I'm so grateful that I've been blessed to do that.
It's powerful.
And it's powerful. I mean, music is such a powerful thing. It really brings people together.
For sure. When you were like soaking in your surroundings, you say you overhear a conversation, and you're like, that's going into a song later, or you hear a quote, or maybe even watching a movie, and that inspires something. Do you write these ideas down, or they just live and percolate in your mind?
Oh, I don't have a great memory. You can ask my mom. I literally forget everything she tells me. We've been having conversations about that lately. But I do tend to write a lot of it down on my phone, my notes app, or I feel like I used to do more in journals, but it's also hard to carry around a journal all the time. So
no, man, phone club right here.
Phone app,
like, phone, yeah.
No, my notes are filled up, and then also my voice memo.
Yes, voice memo is so helpful, especially like when you have a certain melody
right
in your head. Because I'm terrible with melodies too, like remembering them. I mean, I guess because there's so many songs that it's hard to memorize.
So what are your goals for the next 5 years, next 10 years? Do you have any long-term, short-term goals that you're working towards other than releasing your album?
Yeah, I mean, clearly releasing the album. I think in the next few years, so I'm going to be graduating high school, and I want to go to school for songwriting and music business. I want to major in songwriting, minor in music business. Like that is a big goal of mine. Is to, I know college isn't for everybody, but I am always looked forward to college. And that's a big deal in my music career for me, is like going to college to support this art that I want to do with my life. I think I would love to work on getting one of my songs on like a local radio station, because that's always been a big dream of mine. So.
I'll say local radio is pretty hard.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's because
I'm talking about Corpus Christi local radio.
Yeah. I have like a connection to somebody. I don't remember what radio station it was. So once I release my album, that's kind of something that I'm wanting to do. But I mean, long term, I want to get a publishing deal or a record deal. I would love to. I personally would like a record deal, because I do want to be a singer-songwriter. I know a lot of people start off as songwriters, and I'm fine if that's what the plan. If that's like what my path is, then I am perfectly fine with being a songwriter before I'm a singer-songwriter. I want to go on a tour, whether it's small or big. Something that I want to do is like while I'm still in high school, kind of go on like in the summer, kind of like through the hill country and play a bunch of shows. Not necessarily like big shows or anything, but some like small venues and book them.
Hey, your senior trip, doing a music tour for your senior trip,
yes,
that would be epic.
That would be so fun. Yeah.
When you're talking about going to school, do you have a school in mind?
Yes, I want to go to Belmont. I have literally already toured the college.
How did I know?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, man. It's awesome. Very cool.
Literally love it. And I know people that go there, and it's just such, oh my gosh, I love the campus. I love the programs. It's just a great environment from what I've heard and seen. Excited, since hopefully that's where I'll be going.
That's great. And is your ultimate goal to settle in Nashville, or do you have other places in mind?
So I do want to live in Nashville. I think a part of me will always hope that I do end up back in Texas after I've kind of made a name. I can imagine, it's so hard to imagine like not living in Texas, and like I will have a family someday, and I can't imagine like not raising my kids in Texas. Like that's just so weird to think about for me. So I think a part of me will always hope that I end up back in Texas, but Nashville will always have my heart, and I do want to, start my career there. I've already started the career, but I want to.
You got a career, yeah, man.
Yeah, I definitely want to spend quite a bit of time up there.
And that's great.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple more questions. I know we've got a little bit more time here. Do you have any?
I've been like, I don't know, man. I'm just sitting here with a delayed reaction, listening to all this stuff, man.
I will say it's inspiring, and also, I don't know, a little depressing on how excited you are for this next step in your journey. And I feel like I've gotten a little jaded over time. So hearing this just
it's like
your pure excitement is just like.
Wow. I know it's not going to be easy, and I know. Yeah. I mean,
never give it up. Never lose it.
That's something super special to me. Is like I always want to look at the bright side. I remember I played at this writers' round in Nashville, and the guy that was hosting it, he came up to me after and was like, like you have this gift, and he was like, it's not going to be easy. It's like a battle it's an uphill battle. Like it's gonna be hard, but you cannot give up. Like if you have a gift and you know what you want to do with your life, like don't lose that, because so many people do, and that's so sad. Like just because it's not easy doesn't mean that it's not right, or doesn't mean that it's not going to be worth it. And that's something that I always have to remember, is like, because sometimes it is hard, and especially like in high school, there's a lot of times where like I'd rather just be hanging out with my friends, and I'd rather be, something that was so hard was my friend literally last weekend, came down from Chicago, and I hadn't seen her in forever, and I could not spend like the one day she had in town. Like, I could not spend it with her because I had a gig. And I was like, it takes sacrifice, and it's super hard, especially like being a teenager. It's hard, but I'm, always just remembering that I've been given a gift and I want to share that and I want to help people. And that takes sacrifice and work.
Oh yeah,
you're right. It does. Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend being an artist to anybody because of how sacrificial it can be. Oh, I mean, it's an uphill battle, but the rewards are, I guess, completely worth it.
Yep.
Try to remember the rewards are totally worth it when you get $35 in a tip jar at the end of the night. I will say
if there's $35 in the tip jar.
$35, in the tip jar. Yeah, I will say, Emma, that early on, man, and when I got to Nashville, I'd been there a couple of years. My whole thing was I decided to go to Nashville and be an engineer and learn the technical side of it on the other side of the glass, because I knew as a songwriter my songs weren't strong enough yet, and I didn't know how to write a good enough song yet. And so until I did, I had to be around it, and that's how I.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I just always knew that I had to do this and I had to work on it, and but early on when I got to Nashville, I remember sitting around with a songwriter friend who was showing me one of the songs he wrote, as you do, and he had a line in there about watching his young son turn into a man or something, and this is probably a line that any sort of writer would have written or what have you. It was probably nothing special, but to me in that moment it was a profound line, and I started to think, why was that line profound? And it was because as a writer, I wished to write things that were profound, but it got the sense that I knew that I wasn't going to have kids, and maybe that knowledge of that profundity might have a barrier, or I might have a blind spot towards these items of the human condition that I just don't get to experience, perhaps. And that got me also thinking further about how it's like, God damn it, Jules, you're always in your head about writing, but when are you going to actually live?
Yeah.
Right. So you have to write what you know as well, right? So then, what do you know if you don't know anything, right? About go get to know something, sort of thing, right? But all these things, as it relates back to what you said a moment ago, it's right. You have to find time to be a kid in between the time you're finding to be a writer and to just live and to have those experiences.
An interesting balance, that definitely.
Yeah, and but it also informs your writing as well. It also, how are you supposed to know what fireflies in a summer night in mid-July look like in the evening unless you are living in those moments to take notice of those flickering parts of beauty that are there for you to include as the biggest detail in your verse or something,
I agree with that. The amount of, just going to high school every day, literally, that's giving me a lot of inspiration. Believe me.
Sure.
So many people and things that I want to write songs about. I definitely agree. You have to live to, you have to really live to be able to know what you're writing and to write great songs. That's one of the reasons that I've been working on balancing that, is because I know I could spend all my time, being a singer-songwriter, but how am I going to get any better if I'm not living?
Right.
Being a kid and enjoying.
Yeah. And I think what Jimmy was getting to earlier with kind of how he was saying, it is kind of depressing to see this optimism or something. I brought up when we were talking to Walt Wilkins, I brought up John Hartford. Is a writer that was a Mississippi steamboat captain. He was a fiddler, banjo player, and tap dancer. And his concepts of melody are so interesting and haunting at times. But he has this song called "Here I Am in Love Again," and the whole song is about I tried to keep from wanting you, I hoped that this would end, but here I am in love again, and I never wanted to start out this way, but here I am in love again, sort of thing. Whereas the subject matter that of your song is maybe in this maybe new love, fighting, drama, this youthful infusion of the lovers that have the energy to do that kind of thing, fucking John Hartford is over here singing about like, I'm in love again. Like again, this is happening to me, you know, like I'm so worn out. And yeah. So I listen to your stuff and I get a whole lot of this other perspective, right? And I think there's stuff like what John Hartford does in that song about Here I Am in Love Again. It's kind of like I use like Jason Isbell as an example in a lot of stuff, but like something like the song If We Were Vampires, you know, that song was huge and I think it's remarkable because I can't really name a whole lot of like marriage songs like that are like, you know, talking about like sort of deep and abiding devotion that hit in you know, on the charts that way. But these are topics and subject matters of like age, of depth, of long-standing experiential stuff, you know. And I think that we only have like those things to look forward to as well with the material that you turn out, you know. Because your writing already surpasses like your age and perceived sort of, you know, book on its cover glance sort of thing. It's like your material is deep, and I think it's really good.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, it's already well beyond your age. It's also very informed and personal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I have this one song. I'm pretty sure I know I played it at a writer's round before, actually. It's called Headroom. And that one is literally like I cry almost every single time I play it. Like it's one of those songs that like I didn't even want to play it for my mom when I first heard it.
Yeah. Actually, I remember the first time I heard you play that song, it was the same night Carrie Denniston, who's also a piano player, played a song, and she cried when she was playing a song, and then you cried when you were playing your song. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is what this is for.
Exactly. Like there's something about sometimes, and it's scary, but sometimes you have to be so brutally honest that you're scared to show your mom that song. Like and it's beautiful because you're literally pouring out your heart, and it takes so much bravery. I don't know where I get the bravery from, guys. I seriously don't, but like I know it takes bravery to be able to put so much of your heart into a song and share it. But now, like I love to play that song because so many people have related to it, and that's like, to be brutally honest and then have people relate to it. That is so special.
Makes the song mean that much more to you.
Exactly. Because other people are going through what you're feeling. Like that song is about like, you know, growing up and feeling like, oh my gosh, this is a whole lot harder. And I don't even feel like I'm, you know, like living anymore. You know, like I don't feel like, and I know like I'm literally like 15, guys. I get it. But like, I mean, as somebody that again struggles with mental health, like I would remember being in like such a bad place during that time. I was just like, I wrote one of my favorite lyrics that I've ever written in that song. It was, think I'm losing that sparkle in my eye. I'm too young to feel like I'm losing time. And I was like, seriously, like it's crazy how, I mean, and so many people related to that one. I'm so grateful that I have the ability to feel that deeply, because I mean, it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time, like feeling deeply. It definitely helps my songwriting. I can write deep songs, but it's also like every single thing I feel so deeply, and that can be a hard weight to carry, but I can write good songs because of it.
You know, it's easy to forget sometimes, man, that what we do is emotive and causes reactions. And I mean, I was just thinking about how when you mentioned that, you know, you played a song and then you cried, and then Carrie played a song and she cried, and I'm sure that other people in the crowd were crying. It was just everybody crying sort of thing, right? And
we're all just like, wailing.
Right.
They're crying.
Right. Everybody just, it's like, it reminds me of this meme. It's like, so what exactly do you do at like an Adele concert? Do you just sob about your ex? Do you just like the whole time or something, you know?
Every concert I go to, I'm literally like sobbing my eyes. It's so fun.
There's been a moment or two in recent that have hit me that way. Mostly when I was like, I think before I learned live sound, I think that took a lot of magic out of it. But so we have a tendency to forget that like what we do can draw emotions out of people and stuff, you know, and
it's easy to forget.
You know, it's like you fall into habits a lot of times, you know, this is muscle memory and this is repetition, and sometimes it's autopilot.
Friggin'.
Yeah. So like,
and especially if you're playing your third 4-hour gig in a week, and it's
but I'll tell you that, like, so I love this song by like Steve Earle called Goodbye, and Emmylou Harris did it, and it's a beautiful song. And so when I started learning that song would like make me cry, so I had to actually physically work like playing that song and not breaking down in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So, I'm playing this song last night with Chisholm, and this woman is sobbing in the front row. And I say all this not to like self-aggrandize, but that like for a second there, I was like, why is this woman crying?
You're like, wait, I'm singing a depressing song.
Right. And I'm like, doesn't she hear this violin? This is beautiful. And I'm like, wait a second, this is a really sad, tragic song that is tear-jerky, and
have a tendency to forget like the deep meaning of a lot of songs. I mean, that's something I always try and focus on the lyrics, just so I okay. Something my mom always says is like, the crowd will only feel it as much as you do. And so that's something that I
was literally going to say the same thing. If you're not feeling any emotion when you're singing it, there's no emotion coming out. And
I'm not going to re-traumatize myself every time I go on stage singing songs about my girlfriend.
It's also very true, because there's the whole thing as method actors, right? Who, as actors, they tend to just use everything inside of them to emote, and that can be very dangerous too. So there's a happy medium.
That's why I don't play a lot of depressing songs. I save that for like, like the end of the set. Everybody needs a good cry. That's the balance of like not getting too emotional in it all the time, because it's so like, music literally has so much power that like it can affect your emotions. And if you're what you put in your body, like it affects you, like the music you listen to, it can affect your mental health. That's something that I've learned. Like if you're always listening and playing sad, depressing music, like you're going to be sad and depressed. So put on some happy music, guys. Like
Lana Del Rey fans everywhere are like, no.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's not a thing.
Yeah. Wait, I don't listen to happy music ever. Maybe that's my problem.
I have like so many playlists though on my Spotify that are like for every single emotion. I seriously like, if I listen to, and though I've probably used the word angry a lot in this podcast, but I listen to a lot of angry music right now. And like, that's probably not good. So I'm working on like, I'm, trying to listen to like my upbeat, happy playlist a little more, because that's something that I didn't really like. I'd heard the phrase, like what you listen to affects like how you feel. But I never really believed it until like last year, I think, whenever, gosh, I don't even remember. I feel like I was probably talking to like my therapist or something. And I was like, I'm just sad, like all the time. I don't even feel. And literally she's like, so what are you listening to? So I'm listening to like Lana Del Rey, Gracie Abrams, Phoebe Bridgers, and she was like, oh, you should change that. And like, it seriously makes you feel good. Like there are songs that I just can't get over how powerful music is. And like the aspect of a song can literally change your mood for the day.
Oh, yeah. So, but also listening to music that is within the emotions that you're feeling could also be very cathartic. And
whenever I'm in my feels with a lot of Olivia Rodrigo playing in the back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like if you're on the edge, if you need a trigger, just find your trigger song or whatever that could be, put it on and then just let it all out.
I do this thing. I literally have like a new like favorite song of the week, like every single week, because I have like a vibe, a mood for the week. And that song is just so relatable.
Definitely. So with all this emotion that we're talking about, how do you handle co-writing?
Cool. Okay, I think to be honest, it's different every time. There's this certain co-writer, we've written about 4 songs together and they will actually all be on the album. I think that shows a lot about our writing, is that it's super special, but she's like one of those people that I can bare my heart with. Like I literally brought my journal to a co-write and we wrote like super personal songs. And I was like, this doesn't feel weird because it feels like normal. Like we had this like super cool connection that was just like I could tell her all this stuff.
Right.
So co-writes like that are super special because I don't have to worry about like feeling all that emotion. Like we were kind of on the same page about it. But there's also like I feel like a lot of co-writes, I don't necessarily write my saddest stuff. You know, I'm writing more happy stuff. I think I have a tendency to write all like that depressing music by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Co-writing is so special to me, but also I have a tendency to be the artist in the co-write. Like people, a lot of the writers that I write with are writing with me and the artist as in mind, you know. A lot of them are just songwriters, and I'm the one that's like, I want to release this. So
right.
It's also an indicator to like what my emotions are in the moment. Lately that's how it's been because I'm working with a lot of people that are just strictly songwriters and not necessarily singer-songwriters and artists. So
yeah, I haven't done much co-writing until recently.
I actually used to hate it. I literally hated it. I was like, why would you even write with another person? Why would you do that?
But I mean, that's the whole thing, like being alone in your bedroom, just like emoting all the dark, deep stuff, and then it's definitely special, but trying to do that with somebody else, like, yeah, if that's all I'm writing, then why do that with anybody else? But you know, on the other side of that coin, right, co-writing informs, you know, different viewpoints, and there's lessons to be learned from that.
I mean, I love to whenever I'm writing alone, I do tend to write like a lot of sad stuff, and being in a co-write kind of makes me write more. I
feel like being in a co-write teaches you stuff, man. It teaches you about like sure. Especially if you're a young writer, it teaches you like you'll get a lot of moments where like your co-writer will look over at you and be like, listen, we don't vary the cadence on the second chorus. I know you have another rhyme and I know you like that rhyme, but we don't vary the second chorus. Or, you know, or the like little things like that where they just kind of tell you the obvious things that like you may not have picked up, you know.
When you're writing by yourself, but other people can see it.
Yeah. Or they tell you to flip your pronouns to make it more impactful or something, you know. Stuff like that.
There's also like whenever I have something that I want to write a song about, I kind of did this like when I was first going through my breakup. It was like I really wanted to write about it, but I was like, I just can't even write. Like, I don't know, like I just could not write for like at least a week or two. And that doesn't seem like a long time, but for me it was. And so I was like, I'm gonna schedule co-write so I make myself. If I have it scheduled and somebody else is in the room, I will literally like I have to write. So that's what I did with that. That's why I think co-writing is beneficial for me is because that's a way that I make myself write. It's another way that I'm like learning and discipline myself into songwriting, you know? So I love that.
You know, you're coming up in like a time when like, you know, this is a hyper digital sort of age, man. I sound like an old man saying that, but I wonder, I mean,
don't say that, we're the same age.
You know, yeah, you know, but I wonder, Emma, like, how much does like literature play into a part of your writing? Because I mean, most of the writers that we talk to have a strong dosage of like, for Walt Wilkins in the last episode, it was like Steinbeck and Hemingway, and I think from a lot of dudes will point to Steinbeck and Hemingway, you know. But what do you draw from that's not other songwriters or life experiences? Because like this well for writers has to be diverse, right? Whether it's your own personal. So what is that?
A lot of books and movies. I do write a lot based on books, but it's not like the classics that y'all are thinking. I do read I love Little Women, the movie and the book. It's one of my all-time favorites. I'm trying to think of like what other classics. I've read Anne of Green Gables. That was really good. But I do tend to write like based on books. I've done that like with characters. I'll like take their stories, especially with movies too. Movies, I didn't used to watch a lot of TV actually. No, that's a lie. Hold on. I used to watch a lot of TV. Now I don't watch a lot of TV. Okay. I feel like I don't have time anymore. But once I get booked on something, like I definitely I will write about it a lot of times, whether it's a book or a movie. I also like documentaries. I know that's technically still other people, but it's not like people that I know one-on-one. You know, I love the Bluebird documentary. It starts with a song, and gosh, there was this other one. So good. Like all of those like songwriting documentaries, like I get so like I will literally watch that and I'll be like, I have like 5 million songs I want to write because it's so inspiring. Like to hear, like you hear all these people's stories and you're like, I want to write a song about this story. Like
I actually believe I watched that documentary and later that day wrote a song. So yeah.
I watched the Bluebird documentary and I wrote like, I haven't played the song forever actually. I wrote If This Guitar Could Talk. It was talking about like all this songwriting and it was talking about like this country narrative of songwriting. And I was like, okay, I want to write a song like that. It was like a deep storytelling, metaphorical, poetic thing. And so I went upstairs. I was like, okay, I'll write it like based on a book. And I was like digging through my bookshelf, which is like overflowing. It's crazy. I seriously need a bigger one. But after digging through there, I was like, what would these books say if they could talk? And then I was like, looked at my guitar and I was like, hold up. I could have something here. Like, what if this guitar could talk? Because, you know, this is a whole different topic, but instruments, like, seriously, if my guitar could talk, all those, it would have a lot to say. There are so many like songs that I've written on there that I'm like, geez, I sound like a terrible person because I would be like mad at somebody. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I look back, I'm like, why was I so aggressive?
But yeah, I'm a filmmaker, storyteller, writer, novelist, journalist. And the biggest thing that I've learned, it's all connected through listening.
Yes.
And absorbing. So no matter if you're writing it down, no matter if you think you're going to write a song about this or not, it all just sits there and I think I used this word already, percolates until you can't take anymore and it just spews out. But yeah, no, I think the main thing is just always listen, right?
Filling your mind with stories via book, movie, TV show, conversations, like that is so beneficial as a songwriter to like, you have like a library in your head full of like stories that you could tell. Whatever you're getting, that's something that like, I think it's so important as a songwriter to, you know, like I said, like fill your head with that kind of stuff, because if you're ever stuck, like you can just be like, okay, like what is something that I watched or read that, you know, captured my attention? Like find one of those things and be like, write a song about that. If you're ever, you know, stuck, that's something that I use.
Right. And speaking about being stuck and just observing, listening, it reminded me of Hope Cassity, who was our festival, I guess, Best of Fest winner this past year. I went on tour with her in 2006, which ages me, but oh my God. Anyway, she was telling me a trick she had was she traveled a lot, but she loves sitting in airports or bus stations and just listening, basically eavesdropping and watching. And she would pick up all this just amazing little kernels along the way as she did that. And that informed her early albums. And I always took that to heart. I think that's some great advice.
I love that. I remember I was writing with one of my friends and we like, I don't think we ever finished the song, but we started this song about like being in an airport and literally observing like the things that you see and the things that you're hearing. And like, I mean, being in an airport is such a vibe, but I mean, it's super cool to like write a song about that.
I did want to ask, brought up the festival. Tell me a little bit about your experience. I want to know your viewpoint about the festival. What was your experience like?
I loved all of the speakers. I love like seminars and workshops and, you know, stuff like that, conferences. It gives me a lot of inspiration, actually. Like, I feel like that's something like it gets the ball rolling, you know, all this motivation, it like keeps me going. So having definitely like listening to speakers, super beneficial to me. So that was super fun. I loved getting to meet all these people. I remember the people that I was in the girls that I was in the writers round with. That was super cool for me. It was, yes. I remember her name was Ireland. She was super fun because she was close to my age. Like she was a couple years older. Like I think she was the closest to my age. Oh, well, other than the brother-sister duo that does the writers round. Gosh, I cannot brand name.
Shoebox Brain. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. See, she's close to my age. But
Yeah.
other than her, Ireland was like one of the first girls that I met that was like, you know, in the Corpus Christi Songwriters Association, where it was like we were similar in age. So it was super cool to hear her story too. So yeah, I mean, the festival is so fun, actually. Yeah, I can't wait till this year's.
Yeah, no, your first year was the 2023 fest, and
I cannot believe I still can't get over like winning the award.
no, definitely well deserved. Sorry, my cat is making another appearance.
Oh man,
but yeah, 2024 is around the corner. I guess we haven't made an official announcement outside of in the rounds, but you will be playing the 2024 fest.
I'm excited.
Oh, good. Sorry,
Yeah.
she's using your gloves.
Well, at some point, Emma, we should do like a song swap of like songs that were like, I don't know, that personally terrify us to debut or to play for others or something. You know,
I literally have like a list in my mind of like the most personal songs I've written.
Yeah,
I'll be crying at the end. It's fine.
right. It's like if you don't want to cry, just leave now. The signs out there.
Yeah,
You know?
like, if you don't want to cry, you should probably just go.
Way back in 2016, we did a song swap at the Ritz Theater. It was all the board members that were songwriters got up on the stage and did a song swap. And when we were trying to tell the community this is what we're doing, someone said, "What do you mean song swap? Are y'all swapping each other's songs? What are you doing?" And I'm like, that is a great idea. I'd love to do that one day where we all just get together and cover each other's songs.
That would be so fun, actually.
So when you put that out in the ether, and maybe that'll happen one of these days. But I don't want to keep you up too late. I don't know if it's school nights or not. Are you
glad it's not? I'm on Christmas break.
Oh, is it already Christmas break? All right. We'll go for another hour then. But I do want to know, what's next for you for the next month or so?
I actually don't have anything planned for January yet. So I'm kind of wanting to slow down because like just for January, because December was such a busy month and it's holidays. So I'm going to be pretty busy the rest of the month with Christmas, New Year's, but I also do the livestock show and I'll be taking up quite a bit of my time. So I'm definitely going to be planning some Emma James goals, my goals for the next year or so. That's something that I want to work on right now.
Do you have a musical New Year's resolution that you'll be working on?
There's a lot. Again, I'm working on the disciplining myself into writing and not just writing whenever I feel like it, but it's what I want to do with my life. I think that it's important for me to make myself write sometimes. And so that's something that I want to work on. A goal of mine is I've kind of been doing it, but I want to play in outside of Corpus a little bit more, like in Texas, but outside of Corpus. I've gotten the chance to play in Victoria, in Goliad, in the Dallas area. So that's been a lot of fun. And I want to do a little more of that.
I know a perfect place for you in Fredericksburg.
Oh, seriously? Yeah. Let me know what it is. I've had great experiences I don't know if y'all heard the Redbird Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. I love the vibe of that place. But I had this goal at the beginning of this year, and I was like, I want to get 1,000 followers on Instagram. I'm not a big person when it comes to I don't necessarily care too much about followers. I'm trying to get better at it too, because I know that's not the reason I'm doing it, but something about having 1,000 people listen to my music, at least following my journey was super special to me. And I actually just hit that goal. I made a cake for it.
Did you make you made your own cake?
I baked. Okay, so this is funny. I have a lot of allergies. And so I'm mainly gluten-free and dairy-free. And I have never had I've had gluten-free cupcakes, but I literally never had a cake before because you don't find many gluten-free cakes. But I had this gluten-free cake mix, and I was like, I'm gonna 1,000 followers cake. It was actually a disaster, guys. I cups of powdered sugar. I used the liquid measuring cup and for the powdered sugar, and apparently there's a difference. I did not know that. I melted the butter instead of softening it, so the icing is a bit grainy. But it's okay. It looks super cute.
I gotta tell you, Emma, man, like I hope that you're aware that like this region of the country is like very harsh terrain and is inhospitable and hostile even to those who wish to have a gluten-free option on any menu.
Guys,
I understand. It's just this region, though,
so
man.
Much.
Yeah,
I'm allergic so much that I seriously, people are like, "Can you eat?" I don't think I've ever had like. I mean, my mom's made fries before, but like I don't eat fried food, or so like
it's a hydrogenated oil you're trying to like avoid stuff possibly, or
I have a lot of allergies, and so a lot of people are like, "Wow, like what do you even eat?" And I'm like, fruits, vegetables, and meat, duh, the good stuff. It was actually so fun though. Like it was a super big goal of mine, just because I mean. The purpose of music is to reach people for me. And
I love that we're finally getting back to the fact that the whole purpose of the cake was because you got 1,000 followers on Spotify. The cake, unfortunately, doesn't matter. I'm sorry that it was a failure, but
I know. Yeah.
The success is you got 1,000 followers on Spotify, which is nothing. Don't never degrade that. I mean, where we're heading, where we are now, and even further into the future, this is where it's at. So
this was a big step for me because 2 months ago I had like 700 followers and I was like, I'm never gonna get to 1,000. And playing 6 gigs in December paid off, guys.
No, I'm very happy to like hang out and finally get a chance to know you a little bit better, Emma. You know, and like I feel like I see you out and you play, you know, your songs and we exchange some niceties and stuff, but I see a sort of consummate sort of focus out of you when you're out at these venues and stuff. It's something that's really cool and shows how dedicated you are towards your craft and towards your performance. And I always enjoy watching you play, and you're great at what you do. So just very happy to finally hang out. Really cool.
Yeah. I agree. We've said, hey, good to see you, but having an actual conversation with you, it's been wonderful. So I'm getting to know you.
This has been so much fun, even though it's so weird to talk about myself this much.
Oh, it's I find it extremely hard to do for a prolonged period of time, but you've done a great job. We always end these with one question. And I may have asked you this, or Garrett asked you this at the end of the rounds, because we sometimes end our interviews at the end of the rounds with the same question. And we call it the Almost Famous question from the movie Almost Famous. It's how the movie ends, where the character William asks the Billy Crudup character. I don't know if you've ever seen Almost Famous, but okay. The streak is over. Anyway, the question is, what do you love about music?
It's the power of it, the beauty. It's so special to, I think, portray emotions through melody and rhyme. It's so beautiful, and it has the power to bring people together. I've watched music bring communities together and families together and heal things, you know. So that's why I love music. It's powerful, beautiful, super unique.
That's wonderful. And then before we shut this down, tell everybody where we can find your stuff.
Yes. Actually, before I do that, I want to say thank you to the Corpus Christi Songwriters Association. Y'all, I know I said this earlier, but y'all seriously done so much. It's so encouraging to like have a community of songwriters here in Corpus. Y'all always so kind and encouraging, and just wanted to say thank you for that.
We appreciate that.
So you can find me on all streaming platforms, Emma James. On all social media, Emma James Music. No, that's a lie, not all. Facebook and Instagram, Emma James Music, and my website, www.emmajamesmusic.com.
Wonderful.
All right.
Well, I hope your next gluten-free cake turns out better. And
I'm going to be on it.
And I hope your holidays are even better.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a good night.
You too.